What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Khabib gives Charles Oliveira a 30% chance that he could beat his boy, Islam Makhachev. The stage is set for October 22 in Abu Dhabi as ex-champion Charles Oliveira will take on number one contender Islam Makhachev for the vacant 155-pound title. The matchup took a while to make, but we're finally here with a date and location set. Oliveira is no doubt a world beater, but in Islam, he'll be taking on a man who many believe has the style to meet and beat the Brazilian. One guy who believes as much is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Case in point, this is what Khabib stated in a quick interview with Sambo Says in the Russian language. On the 22nd of October, we will step into the cage and we plan on finishing him, Oliveira, whether he likes it or not. I would not give Charles any chance to win, because that would be silly. He's the 2022 Fighter of the Year. I'd say the odds are 70-30 Makhachev. 30% you have to go give no matter what to Oliveira because he's a very unpredictable fighter. He's very unpredictable and an unfavorable matchup. It's no surprise here that Khabib believes his protege and longtime friend Makhachev will be able to get the job done and beat Oliveira for the vacant lightweight title. Khabib has been pounding the table for his former teammate to get the title shot he feels he deserves. Khabib himself is a legend in the sport, having retired as an undefeated champion in late 2020 after he beat Justin Gaethje via submission. Oliveira has been on a roll and is currently on an 11-fight win streak dating back to 2018. He has the most submission wins in UFC history and has been sniping the top lightweights in the world over his last few fights. In Islam, he takes on a formidable wrestler who uses a very similar tactic to Khabib. With a 10-fight win streak, Islam is also highly touted. What do you make of Khabib saying that Oliveira has just a 30% chance of beating Makhachev here? And who are you rooting for in this title fight for UFC 280? Kamaru Usman says Conor McGregor is the epitome of sporting double standards. Kamaru Usman understands the value that Conor McGregor brings to the sport and the UFC, and sees plainly the different rules for him and for other fighters. Usman, the welterweight king with 5 successful defenses of his 170-pound title, is not frustrated over the double standards that Conor exemplifies. In fact, he uses it to fuel himself to get to another level. Conor has lost 3 of his last 4 fights since 2018, is coming off back-to-back losses, and hasn't fought in over a year. Still, he's regarded by many as one of the greatest MMA stars on the planet, if not ever, and he'll still be able to sell tickets and put butts in the seats. For Usman, he feels that Conor's stardom was also fueled by out-of-the-cage incidents, from his beef with Machine Gun Kelly, to accusations of assault from an Italian DJ, to him striking an elderly man in an Irish pub, the Dolly incident, and much more. Controversy seems to sell, and Conor, coupled with his achievements of being a champ, exemplifies this. Case in point, this is what the Nigerian Nightmare told the panel of ex-pro athletes on the I Am Athlete podcast. There's different rules. There's different rules for different people. McGregor can do the whole Floyd Mayweather. Floyd been done this. Floyd been wrote the playbook on all of it. McGregor comes out and does it, and guess what? He's even bigger. It's different rules for different people. I've traveled the world to where I understand it's different rules for different people. Of course, color plays a role in it. You're treated differently in different places, and that's okay. I understand it. This is just the era, and this is the time I'm living in. I'm not gonna cry over spilled milk. I'm gonna make the best out of it. But I understand that, yeah, there's certain things that you can and can't do. What do you make of Usman's comments here? Do you agree or disagree with him? Dana White accepts apology from Oscar De La Hoya. The 2017 fight between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor saw UFC president Dana White get involved to promote the world tour and the massive fight. While the event made an incredible amount of money and generated a ton of hype, one guy who wasn't on board with the idea of a crossover boxing match involving an MMA fighter was former boxing champion himself, Oscar De La Hoya. De La Hoya and White were friends at one point and had long talked about working together. However, when the Mayweather-McGregor boxing match took place, De La Hoya said that it was disrespectful to the sport of boxing. White then attacked De La Hoya personally. Later on, De La Hoya tried to move in on White's territory and began promoting a trilogy MMA fight between Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell, 2 fighters formerly managed by Dana White in the pre-UFC days. White certainly hated De La Hoya for that, and the two had gone back and forth through the media, hurling insults at each other. but De La Hoya has since tried to make amends and offered an apology to White for any pain he's caused. White was receptive to it, but not exactly warm. Case in point, this is what White stated during a recent video where he answered fan questions on the GQ Sports YouTube channel.
I feel like De La Hoya's apology was sincere, but there's no way that he and I can ever be friends again. You know, he and I were actually friends. I used to go to his fights. I used to watch his fights. I used to promote his fights. That guy did way too much damage for us to ever be friends again. I appreciate his apology. Get it. We're cool, but we're never going to be that cool.
White went on to claim that boxing in general is a corrupt sport and doesn't want to mess with anyone in that game. What do you make of White's comments here? Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to stay up to date on all the latest fight news. Jan Blachowicz continues to pound the table for a UFC title shot. Jiri Prochazka and Glover Teixeira delivered an outstanding fight at UFC 275 back in June, a potentially all-time great light heavyweight title fight that got the fans at the Singapore Indoor Stadium on their feet. When it was all said and done, Jiri forced Glover to tap for the first time in his career, with just 30 seconds left in the entire fight. Jiri's win was also incredibly fast, as he won the title in just his third UFC fight. The rise of Jiri Prochazka is no doubt impressive, and one guy who's been waiting in the wings to fight him is Jan Blachowicz. The ex-champion and Jiri got into a verbal altercation after the fight, and while Jiri was open to fighting Jan in his first title defense, Jiri has since come out and stated he wants to solidify his hold on a light heavyweight title by giving Glover a rematch, given how close their fight was. While Glover has yet to formally respond, Jan has been adamant that he should be the first guy to fight champion Jiri. For his part, this is what Jiri stated earlier this week to Jan about it. "I never promised you our fight, Jan Blachowicz. I just said you are the challenge, what I want to cut. Second thing is, I am still waiting for answers from Glover Teixeira. If you're not interested, let me know. I want to fight till the end of this year, no matter who." Then, Blachowicz was interviewed by MMA Fighting soon after to speak at length about his thoughts on this. This is what he stated.
Of course, it's simple. I won my fight, he won his fight, he defended the belt, so I am next. That's it. It's for me, it's simple, but don't know what to say more, because it's a little bit annoying, That was a great fight between him and Glover. I've got respect for both of them, but just, make some decision. And UFC, of course, they have to do some decision also, because we're waiting for something and nothing happened.
Jan goes on to harp on the whole European angle, as Jiri is Czech and Jan is Polish. He states that all of Europe is waiting to see this light heavyweight matchup and that the time to make this fight is now. What do you make of Jan calling on Jiri to accept a fight against him for the title? Could Jiri Prochazka vs. Glover Teixeira 2 take place in December? UFC 282 will take place in December, and while there isn't an official location set for this event yet, all indications point to the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. MMA Fighting is citing sources in the UFC who say that light heavyweight champion Jiri Prochazka and ex-champion Glover Teixeira have verbally agreed to the December 10th date. The fight would be a rematch of their incredible first encounter back in June at UFC 275, a potential Fight of the Year contender. Jiri won the fight after going nearly 5 rounds in a back-and-forth war after Jiri tapped out Glover with a rear naked choke with about 30 seconds left in the last round. After the fight, Glover called for a rematch, and weeks later, Jiri announced his intention to do so. Who's your early favorite to win this rematch, and do you think it will go the distance the second time around? Thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.